All right, guys, welcome to this video. And in this video, I'm going to be going over the shared leaf death spiral and what that particularly means for your plumbing business, as I'm sure you've been experiencing this in your own operation. And I'll be going over the trigger, which is the old way. I'll also be going over the first response reality in your situation, as well as what this leads to and how to prevent this from happening to you any longer. As I'll go over, this is costing you thousands upon thousands of dollars in new jobs. So watch this for at least 5 minutes, and I can guarantee you that you'll gain a lot of value. So to get straight into it, basically, what is the trigger, right? What is the workflow or the experience that this homeowner goes through? So essentially, the homeowner experiences a high urgency plumbing issue, such as a burst water heater or a sewer drain issue. So as you can see here, typically it's quite common, and this is a very urgent issue that needs to be solved. So what do they go ahead and do? They go ahead and visit the platform, such as HomeAdvisor, Angi's List, and so on, and the platform instantly auctions and sells the exact same data to 5 different local plumbing businesses simultaneously. And I'm sure you've been on these platforms before and you kind of understand what the environment's like on there, right? It's kind of a situation where you're competing with other plumbing businesses, and this can be quite a experience in itself, right? So basically the cost of that is, all 5 plumbing shops pay full price for the exact same lead, right? So they're all competing with each other. They're all trying to get the same one lead, but they're all having to bid on that, right? So that involves, spending money to try and get that lead, right? And as you can see here, as illustrated, you're putting that money in, and you have to understand that money may not come back, right? So you're effectively risking it, and again, you're competing with 5, 6 other plumbing companies. So ultimately, I'll explain why this is like lighting your money on fire. So keep watching, right? So that's pretty much the first phase, or the first part of the situation. And in terms of the second part, this is sort of the first response reality. This is basically the race, right? So there's a second window. The clock starts the millisecond the lead is distributed. So to put an analogy, let's say you put a fish in the water, and at that point, there's got to be sharks who are going to be on it, right? They're going to be looking to acquire that fish, and the quickest person who's able to get to it pretty much wins. So it becomes a winner takes all scenario. And in terms of this second window, shop one, pretty much whose office manager happens to be staring at their screen, dials the homeowner within 30 seconds and locks in the estimate. And as you can see, this is a very quick time for them to be calling up the lead and to be able to go ahead and get them booked in so they can do an estimate. So again, that's a very tall order that other plumbing companies have to live up to. And typically, you may not be in that situation where you can go ahead and reach out that fast. And again, that's calamitous for your business, because that means that you're not able to get to this particular lead or any given lead in a very good period of time. So ultimately, this leads you to be one of the losers. So shops 2, 3, and 4, and 5 are on active job sites, driving or having other calls. They dial the homeowner 10 minutes later, right? So you're likely very busy. If you're in a situation where you're actually on a job currently and you're under a sink, or you're dealing with a sewer drain problem, or trying to fix a water heater in itself, you not reaching out faster than this particular shop means that you're not going to able to acquire that particular lead. Okay. And as you can imagine, the other same shops are in that situation as well. So as you can imagine, this leads to a particular result which is not favorable. So the slower shops are either sent straight to voicemail, ghosted, or told, we already found somebody. And I'm sure you've been in that situation where you're effectively having to put the phone down, and in disappointment, right? Because you weren't able to reach out fast enough. And you feel probably that 5-10 minutes is a fast enough time to reach out to these people. But unfortunately, there's always that one person who's able to reach out almost immediately. So when you have that situation, you're ultimately not going to be able to get that lead. Okay. So they've basically burnt their marketing budget for zero return, right? And this can keep happening, right? This can become a habit. This can become a trend where you're on these different platforms like HomeAdvisor, Thumbtack, Angi, and you're trying to compete for these leads, but they are shared leads. As I've gone over, you're competing with half a dozen, if not more, other plumbing shops. So when that's the situation, your odds of being able to get that particular lead are very, very low, right? And they dwindling as well. So effectively, this is like burning your money on fire. This is something that you want to avoid, but you probably don't know what sort of situation you want to put yourself in or what other solutions there are. So you go ahead and engage in this shared lead bid war. So, typically, if you're watching this and you're realizing you're bleeding thousands of dollars a month just because your guys are under a house and you can't answer the phone in 30 seconds, well, this is exactly how we built the Dragonfruit AI infrastructure. We completely eliminate this bottleneck by installing an automated system that replies to every lead in seconds. So there's a link in the description to book a free implementation call, with me personally, if you want to just build this for you. But let's look at what happens if you do manage to get that shared lead on the phone. Okay. And that brings us to the third phase, which is a margin distraction. Okay. This is basically the race to the bottom. So in this situation, in the event that the homeowner answers the phone for multiple shots, that does still happen, right? The dynamic immediately shifts from expertise to price. So this is slightly better than you being in a situation where you're basically getting told that they're not interested, even though you reach out 5 minutes when they opted in. But in this situation, effectively what's happened is you're still competing, but now you're competing on price, which is now another problem in itself. So this leads ultimately to commoditization. The homeowner now has 3 to 4 plumbers competing for the same job, turning your elite trade service into a cheap commodity. So obviously the goal here is not to go ahead and keep lowering our prices to the point at which we can't actually, make a profit. Otherwise, that defeats the purpose of us doing the job in the first place, right? So this is something that we want to avoid. This is not a good situation to be in, where even if you do get the job, you're fighting tooth and nail for it. But at the end of the day, you're having to basically break even on effectively doing that job, which means, your hard labor, your technician's hard labor, going into and actually doing the job, but for what exactly, right? So you're effectively in a position where you're almost as good as not even getting a job at all, right? So that's a situation that you would be in that case. And, that leads to the profit drain, as we like to call it. To win the driveway, you are forced to undercut your standard flat rates. You win the job, but you'll completely destroy your profit margin in the process, as I just mentioned. So typically you're having to go ahead and keep going down and down and down. Like I said, it becomes a race to the bottom. So again, you don't want to be in that position. So how do you go ahead and ultimately prevent you from even getting anywhere near this type of situation? How can we produce an environment where we can actually get leads that are ours, right? And that we are not competing for, and be able to call them immediately so that we can go ahead and book them onto the calendar. Okay. So that's where we come in with sort of our Dragonfruit AI contrast. This is particularly a new way that not a lot of companies are doing. We don't really see this, effectively done. But effectively, how this works is there is a one-to-one relationship that is cultivated in this case, and that data is routed only to your business. So this leads to zero competitors. And again, this is an example of ads that we've run, and high aesthetic, but also they communicate exactly the problem that the lead is facing. So that leads to higher, opt-in rates, conversion rates as a whole. And again, they go ahead and opt in. After that, what happens is then automation that is run. So automated speed to lead, as we can call it. This is where the Dragonfruit AI Infrastructure, which is what we go ahead and implement for plumbing companies, this instantly engages the prospect via text within the first 30 seconds. Okay, so as you can see here, this is kind of how it is. Basically, it's like an AI voice agent where on that basis they go ahead and call the lead immediately. The homeowner doesn't know it's an AI, right? It sounds like a real human being. Even you probably wouldn't be able to tell. I certainly can't tell. And they go ahead and communicate with this homeowner like a normal human being, and that leads to them going ahead and booking in the call or booking in the booked estimate, right? And from that point, the qualification is done by the AI agent, and the AI acts as a bouncer, confirming the issue, water heater replacement, or sewer drain leakage, and gathering property details while your crew is still under a house. So you can be doing your job, but this AI takes care of the qualification as well as the outbound calling as well. So this is pretty much very effective and lucrative system that you definitely want to implement, right? And it'll give you a lot more leverage than where you're currently at, in contrast, where you're having to fight tooth and nail to get a single lead who tells you that they've gone with somebody else. This is definitely not the situation here. This is completely prevented, and you can see here that these types of ads bring the lead in, in a one-to-one relationship, and the automated speed to lead, right? The AI agent, our infrastructure, goes ahead and calls this lead immediately without your input, right? So, and this works 24/7 as well. This is not a case where this works like a 9 to 5. This is AI, right? This goes ahead and can contact them in the middle of the night if they need help, emergency help. It goes ahead and do that. So in your sleep, you have this AI going ahead and qualifying the homeowner and then booking them in a time in the morning or in the afternoon when you're available for the job. So that's what this AI does. And basically the final outcome is the homeowner is booked directly onto your dispatch board at your full premium rate. No bidding wars, no manual phone tag, and zero wasted ad spend, which is ultimately what we want. So now you can see there's a massive contrast between what you're currently doing, right, with regards to Angi List, HomeAdvisor, Contact, where you can basically a red ocean with all the other shops, and you're basically having to lower your prices in order to get that lead. And a lot of the time, you don't even get that lead. You're basically spending that money. You're not getting it back. So it's in complete contrast to you actually going ahead and speaking to that particular homeowner directly via a meta ad, and then being able to leverage AI to go ahead and call that lead immediately within 30 seconds, much faster than this human can go ahead and do, right? So this leads to obviously no more bidding wars and no more wasted ad spend. So if you're tired of funding a local price war and want to stop bleeding your marketing budget on shared leads, click the link in the description below to book a free implementation call with me today or whenever you're free. We will show you exactly how we can build and install this entire AI Dragonfruit infrastructure, right, in more detail, and effectively put this sort of relationship and all of these leads and get you book estimates booked onto your calendar completely effortlessly, because we're leveraging AI at this point, right? So we can show you how to do that, into your, and put this, entire infrastructure into your dispatch board completely done for you. So you can stop playing phone tag and focus entirely on your trucks, keeping your trucks rolling. So the link is in the description. Go ahead and book a call, and I will see you in the next video.